All right, welcome everybody to the last segment of the enterprise track for today. Quick housekeeping, if you haven't been in that room before, we'll do Q&A at the end of the presentation. There's a red button, like a rectangle in front of you. For asking questions, just press on this. Wait for the red light to come on the microphone, and then ask your questions, and press red again to get off the mic. First speaker from Apptopia, going to talk about, is a man who manages 200 billion data points, and talk about the app market. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is John Mercer. I'm the VP of Analytics at Apptopia, and the talk today is solving the app market with only Grid Hustle and a Spark cluster. If you'd like to tweet at us, our handle is @Apptopia. So the first thing is 30 minutes is a lot to ask of anybody. If anybody here has kids, I would kill for 30 more minutes every day with my kids. So I really wanted to structure this to reward you for your attention and your time. So two things I want to accomplish today. The first is to tell the amazing story of Apptopia, who we are, the mission that we're on, and how Spark has been a transformative tool in our history. And on that backdrop, I'll share a few life lessons that I think can only be learned through the blood, sweat, and tears of trying to do extraordinary things. So maybe I won't give this many gold nuggets, but I think there may be one or two in there for you to walk away and put in your pocket. So the first question I have to answer is, what is Apptopia? Who are we? And like most people, I think when I thought about this question, the first thing that came to mind was Derek Zoolander's existential moment in the movie Zoolander when he said, "Who am I?" So I first have to explain who Apptopia is. No Zoolander fans here? Come on, okay, there we go. It's all right. I know it's the end of the conference, but... So Apptopia is a mobile intelligence company. We provide this mobile intelligence through Apptopia.com platform and the Apptopia API. We shine a light on the global app economy by predicting the usage, the downloads, the revenue for all 6 million plus apps and growing in the iTunes and Google Play app stores. So if you don't know a lot about mobile, that's okay. Before I accepted this mission, I was working in genomics, and I still remember during the interview process asking, "What's Google Play?" So it's quite all right. So company overview, a few fast facts. 40 employees. We've been in business for about 6 years, multiple locations. We're trusted by over 35,000 publishers worldwide. We've raised over $4 million from investors like Mark Cuban and Ashton Kutcher, and 500 startups and Yahoo. So Sir Isaac Newton said that the reason he could see so far was because he was standing on the shoulders of giants. So I want to recognize a few people because it was really their blood, sweat, and tears through the last couple of years that got us this far. So Eli Sapir, co-founder and CEO, and Johnathan Kay, the co-founder and CEO of the company, and Serge Balyuk, the VP of engineering. So what does it mean to be a mobile intelligence provider? We are very proud to be, in many cases, the exclusive mobile data provider for some of the greatest organizations across many industries. Folks like Facebook and Google and Verizon and others. These organizations use our data for competitive intelligence, advertising optimization, user intelligence, and more. We also empower VCs, hedge funds, and other firms making investment decisions. So Apptopia is a mobile intelligence company, and we're on a mission to empower mobile stakeholders. So first things first, there's so much more to mobile than just games. This is a common misconception about mobile. It's one that I had coming into this space. And it's a hard thing to say after this Pokemon Go phenomenon. So to reaffirm this misconception, I'll just admit to everybody that I still don't know what a Pokemon exactly is. I know people like to chase them, and from a data scientist standpoint, this sort of app craze phenomenon is a data scientist's worst nightmare. I really think that I woke up in the middle of the night with sweats because these things were chasing me in my dreams. And this reason will probably become more apparent later in the talk, okay? But there's so much more to mobile, or so much more to the app market than just mobile. So what kind of mobile app data do we provide then? So for example, user demographics and behavior. Who's using your app? Who's using your competitor's app? What's the age and gender distribution look like? So if you take a finance app like Wealthfront, see that 97% are male users, 3% are female users. Versus a business app like GoToWebinar, you have 40% male users and 60% female users. So these kind of age and gender distributions we can provide for any app. We also build global app graphs that enable us to identify and quantify relationships between apps, or connecting the dot type analyses. So folks ask us, can you tell me what other apps my users are likely to use? Or can we segment users based on these bundled apps? Competitive intelligence. You can analyze, for example, the year-to-year worldwide downloads of top streaming apps. Investment decisions. So for example, if you want to do head-to-head comparison of monthly active users of a public and likely soon to be public payment platform, you can do that as well. Advertising optimization. You can go to apptopia.com and quickly analyze metrics such as the average revenue per user and compare historical trends by country to analyze and optimize your advertising spend. So these are a few of the many examples of how our data empowers mobile stakeholders, and that there's so much more to mobile than just games. So to translate that mission to this audience, I think that the best way to put it is that we're on a mission to solve the app market, hence the title of this talk. We approach it just like a physical system. So we want to understand the dynamics, the mechanics, and the evolution of the market. Because if you don't know the rules, you can't win the game. So by doing so, we can demystify the market and we can make it more transparent for mobile stakeholders so that they can make the best decisions possible. Before we can do that for others, Spark has empowered us. So this is part 2 of our talk. You have a high-level overview of what Apptopia is and the mission that we're on. Now I'll go more into our business use case, and so you can better understand how we do what we do and how we harness Spark. So first of all, we adore Spark, so this is as good a time as any to say thank you to the hundreds of contributing developers. Personally, I've contributed 0 lines of code, so I'm like the relative that comes to dinner all the time but never brings a side plate. So I'd like to thank those developers. You're doing an amazing job. So we combine public and proprietary data. On the left-hand side, we have data from over 200,000 mobile apps. And this includes the number of users, so the usage, the downloads, the revenue, the in-app purchase revenue, ad revenue, okay? For approximately 3 years of time, depending on the app, okay? So we have billions of observations that we know about these apps' performance across 50+ countries. We have this data because Apptopia is really becoming the Mint.com of mobile. So if you're not familiar with Mint.com, it's a service that lets you connect your bank accounts and get insights and alerts about your spending. So Apptopia is really becoming the mint.com of mobile because publishers want to connect with our platform so that they can get insights and benchmarks into how their app is performing, the usage, the downloads, and the revenue. So some examples of other publishers that connect with us, mentioned before Verizon, but also JetBlue and Mattel. So the other piece to the puzzle is the public data, which comes from the app stores. Okay? So this includes ranks, ratings, including reviews, publishers, the descriptions of the apps, even screenshots, the price of the app, and much more. So of course we compute on both of these spheres of data and integrate them using Spark. But first, why do we collect these things? We collect these things because public data is predictive of performance. So in this example, we see that an update was released on the 6th, and there was a spike in downloads. So updates are predictive of an app's performance. The constellation of ranks on any given day is predictive of performance. The ratings and the number of reviews are predictive of performance. So rank is the most predictive feature, okay? So I'll spend a few slides explaining exactly the nuances of rank because it's also the most complex feature, okay? So apps are ranked in each of the app stores, both iTunes and Google Play, and they're based on both their downloads and their sales, okay? They can be ranked in several categories, and if they perform well enough, they can even be ranked in a top overall category. Okay? So each category tells you something unique about an app. So in this simple example from Apptopia.com, here Instagram is ranked 12th overall, top overall, and 4th in photo and video in the US on October 20th. So again, rank is also the most complex or fun feature. So to give you a little sort of taxonomy of rank, so apps have country-specific ranks, and they can often be ranked in many countries. Okay? Within each country, they can also be ranked in one or more categories. Here I'm illustrating with health and fitness and lifestyle. They can also be ranked based on their downloads or their revenue or both. They can show up in both of those ranked lists. So this is important because the better an app is ranked and the more places it's ranked, the more people are going to see it, okay? Which is going to, again, impact its performance, its downloads, its usage, and its revenue. So there are many categories and subcategories. In the previous slide, I listed 2 of them, health and fitness and lifestyle. For example, in iTunes, there are 24 categories. I'm going to just name a few: business, education, finance, entertainment. 2 of these 24, these categories have subcategories, so games and newsstand. So yes, games is one of the most complex. So in games, you have 18 subcategories. You have arcade games, action, card games, and so on. In newsstand, you have 20 subcategories. So things like news and politics, or fashion and style, or home and garden. So to summarize these points, apps can be ranked in 1 or more categories. They can also be ranked based on their downloads or their sales. They can be ranked, their country-specific ranks. So the constellation of ranks is complex and constantly evolving. So the average number of combinations, the combinations of ranks across countries on any given day is 15. But some apps can go into the hundreds, so the combinations of categories and countries that they're ranked in on a single day. And all of these go into their worldwide performance for any one of the aforementioned metrics. Okay? So we build models with data from connected apps. So I want you to walk away from this section with this picture. We start with that subset of the app universe, okay? And then we infer the estimates for the rest based on our models. This is the core value proposition of Apptopia. So for any app, any day, almost any app, any day, in any country that the app is available in, we provide estimates for the downloads and the usage and the revenue. So now that you have a high-level understanding of the data science problem behind our core value proposition, I'll describe specifically how Spark has helped transform us. So first, the first generation training and scoring technology architecture. Cassandra is the underlying database that serves Apptopia.com and the Apptopia API. Modeling was done using R, purely based on CSV files dumped from Cassandra on a single client, okay? So the scoring framework was a combination of Ruby workers communicating with R-serve processes via JSON in a batch scheme using a Sidekick scheduler. So this was not a viable path forward. There are many problems with this framework. It's cumbersome, it's inflexible, it's complex, even though the schematic is simple, it was very complex, and it forced us to downsample. But the most deadly feature was its speed, okay? So it would take approximately 2 months to recalculate all of our app estimates for several years worth of history. Because recall that we don't just have one model, we have models for downloads, revenue, and usage, and we don't have them just for one store, but for both iTunes and Google Play. So bottom line, we could not compete with this framework. So to compete in this market, we have to have a modeling framework that enabled us to have fast iterations to production so that we could see how customers react to new estimates, where we were strong and where we were weak, both at the country level, the category, and the subcategory level. So we can adjust those models and move them out to production very quickly. So here comes Project Khaleesi for all the Game of Thrones fans. That's our internal code name. And Project Khaleesi is all about transforming or creating an entire model building framework and production scoring process that would enable us to rapidly train, test, and score in production any of the aforementioned models. And all of these things drive our core value proposition, so it's of paramount importance. So we have Cassandra, which directly serves Apptopia.com and the Apptopia API still. So Spark is our first line of defense for all analyses and reporting. We also use Spark to create other data marts for analytics, so dumping both into S3 and Redshift. And this was primarily because we wanted to live as much as possible in R to conduct exploratory analyses, visualizations, and modeling. And we had a lot of trouble connecting Spark R specifically with Cassandra. So we're an RStudio shop, and we run 2 data science servers, and they're called Grit and Hustle. And currently we use Spark for all ETL processes, all reporting, the analytic data mart creation, a lot of the feature creation for the modeling data sets. But the modeling that we currently do with H2O, if anybody saw the H2O talk previously, it was a good one. And we do that through their R API. And we use Shiny to do analytic app development. So one particular app is a bare bones version of our production website, which we call Devtopia. This enables us to rapidly, as part of our model validation process, to visualize many of our development models and compare them to the production estimates and analyze them in a visualization and experience that is very similar to our production environment as the last stage of model selection to go into production. So how has this new framework empowered us? So the production scoring process that underlies our core value proposition, that cycle went from 2 months to 2 days for all models, moving them to production. And that's just the scoring part. We can now systematically train, test, compare hundreds of models using 20 times the data than we previously could in our original framework. So I think it's safe to say that Spark and other open source tools have transformed how we compete. We're more productive, more efficient, and greater agility and greater flexibility. So I may be a hopeless romantic, but I think that what we've been able to do with Spark and H2O combined is a bit of a love story or a Cinderella story. And I take a lot of pride thinking that this is the first and last time someone will make a Spark stick figure in their slides. And I say the last time because it's probably going to be the last time I'll be invited after this. So soak it in. So where do we go from here? My team and our engineering team has spent the last 6 months making this transformation in our model training, testing, and scoring framework. The global app market is a complex dynamical system, and network-based approaches are at the forefront of computational techniques to model these types of systems. So we're investing heavily in our graph computation and visualization pipelines. Here, our approach is to do exploratory analyses and prototyping in R using iGraph, and then scaling up using GraphX. So the nodes in these networks are primarily apps, and we want to model things like similarity, okay, using app descriptions, for example. Competitiveness, using the similarity of the app and the relationship of that rank history, that constellation of ranks, and how they compete with each other across countries and across categories. The propensity to be bundled together on the same device. So here we use metrics from app reviews, and we're computing the percentage of shared reviewers between apps while normalizing for the number of reviewers of the respective apps. So we can use these app graphs in many different ways to help our customers compete. So finally, my group is growing with demand from all the other departments, and I want to focus on research, I want to focus on modeling and analysis and developing these analytic apps that can empower the other departments and internal stakeholders. So we can't do that by doing all of the Spark, DevOps, and management ourselves or borrowing resources from engineering, which I find myself doing a lot. So we're testing Databricks seriously in the next 3 months. And just so you know, our talk was picked before they saw this slide. So this is not an attempt to get a discount either. Although if it were an attempt to get a discount, it would be a pretty good one. So, but seriously, this is something that is taking way too much time and effort from my life, from my group's life, something that we have to resolve very quickly as the demands on our group and the group itself grows. So here's 4 things that we've learned through difficult business transformation and startup challenges. And 2 of them are computational. 2 of them are more human-oriented. So first, solve for the human side of the equation. So data science was named the sexiest job of the 21st century, but we all know that there's nothing sexy about failed jobs, dependency issues, and errors that Stack Overflow has never seen before. So this is an extremely hard field to survive and thrive in. So you need to surround yourselves with amazing people. Recruit for raw talent and grit rather than skills. Recruit for people that have shared values and purpose in life. And as Ray Dalio, one of the most successful hedge fund managers, has said, hire people that you want to spend your life with. So I think that that's what makes this community so special, because working on the bleeding edge requires extraordinary people with purpose. You can't do it otherwise. Number 2, avoidance should precede optimization. We can all get so caught up with optimizing our computations and our processes, and we get so very close to the problem that we're working on, when we sometimes fail to stop and step back and ask ourselves whether or not we should be computing this in the first place. So avoidance should precede optimization. Make big data, small data. Make big problems, small problems. I call this the 2x2 approach. Like in linear algebra, when we were taught how to invert a matrix, they started out with a 2x2 matrix. So, because if you start and understand the central idea, generalizing, scaling, and troubleshooting is much easier. So the maturity and patience it takes to approach big data problems like this, I think reduces overall development time and maximizes the probability of success. Number 4, edges are more important than nodes. So before Apptopia, I had the honor of working at the most prolific biomedical research institute in the world called the Broad Institute of MIT and Harvard. So there I architected and developed a multiple award-winning patent-pending platform called Johnathan for learning the topological properties of biological networks, visualizing these large-scale networks and interpreting the results, interpreting the biology. Working in that amazing culture for 3 years and really living in networks and computing on graphs for so many years, if I had to boil it down to, or distill it into one sentence, it's really that edges are more important than nodes. So relationships are of paramount importance in life, and they are the most powerful catalyst of change in an organization or a field. So the relationships at Apptopia are a testament to this claim. So we may be relatively smaller, but we're doing really big things and we're competing against really big competitors. So I'll leave you with this. The size and strength of your network, and by that I mean authentic relationships built on trust and mutual respect, the size and strength of that network, not your LinkedIn network, this is more important and more powerful than the size and strength of your Spark cluster. Thank you.
Want to take any questions?
Sure.
Are there any questions? If you're,
could you maybe elaborate a little bit about how you started in the beginning? Because it seems to me that the value that you're providing to these app developers and app companies is you had to start somehow and have a value already, and then get data from the app developers. No, so how did you resolve this issue? You needed data in your platform on the one hand to provide insights, and then on the other hand, you also needed to get this data at the same time.
Okay, so just to reiterate the question, chicken and the egg problem of how we got the proprietary data to build our models so that other people would want to connect with the platform itself. Yeah. So there was originally a previous business called Apptopia. It was a marketplace for applications to buy and sell. And to buy and sell on that marketplace, you had to connect your apps. So that was the seed of the data set. But I mean, beyond that, we're really becoming the mint.com for mobile apps. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you for your time. Yep.